So I want to talk a little bit about list processing and the issue of Excel formatting the raw data that you get from the county. So I have here a list from San Bernardino, and one of the things about San Bernardino is the APNs that are in San Bernardino are very long numeric values. They have lots of zeros a lot of times at the end or in the beginning, and so when you open it up in Excel, what happens is right away Excel tries to read it as or it converts it into a scientific notated number. So anytime you get a number that's very long, Excel, since it's a financial, mainly a financial program, it'll try to convert that down into a scientific notated number, much like a calculator would. The other thing, if you take a look at this list, the zip codes a lot of times get formatted. Here's a zip code in Maine, and Maine has a leading 0 on it. But when you look at the value of this, once you open it up in Excel, the 0 is stripped away. And I can show you that because if I go back into the original file I had, and I don't open it up in Excel, I open it instead in a program like Notepad, which is just a text editor, you can see here that the zip code starts with 04574. But once we get that into the program of Excel, Excel removes that 0. So a lot of times you do need to work with the data in Excel, but how do you work with the data without changing the actual numbers? Because one thing for sure is if you just save this after you sort it and add your filters, if you save this list again, what's going to happen, and I'll show you right now, I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to save it as list 2, and what happens now, if I come back over here to my files here, here's my list 2, if I open that in Notepad, you'll notice that what's actually saved is the formatted data. So you can see here like the zip code that we were just looking at, the 0 is gone now. Also, you can see that the APNs are the scientifically notated numbers. They're not the actual APNs that we started with. So by just opening it up in Excel and then saving it again as a CSV, we've changed the data without even knowing it. Excel has changed the format of the data, and then it saved it as the formatted values. In this video, I want to show you how to prevent that. But just to illustrate the point further, if I go ahead and import this list number 2 into the investment Dominator, the investment Dominator does not know the difference between the formatted data and the incorrectly formatted data. So what it's going to do is it's just going to import whatever is in that .csv file. So in this case, it imported 10 records, and you can see here, if we take a look at this LLC right here, you can see that in the zip code field, the incorrect zip code has been imported. You can also see, if we take a look at the APN numbers here, they are all incorrect. Like, they all are ending in 0 except for this one right here. So if I take a look at the raw data here, you can see this one ends in 2. In the original data, this one ends in 3. This one ends in 4, etc., etc. So these numbers that it imported are incorrect numbers. So this is just an example of what not to do when you're working with and filtering out data using Excel. Now I'm going to show you what to do to prevent this. We'll go ahead and delete these records in the system and start over. Let me go back here. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to open up this original list right here in Excel, but this time I'm going to highlight the APN column. I'm going to right click over it. I'm going to click Format Cells. Alright, now this one I want to change to a number. And I want to take out the decimal places. This would be like if it was a currency. So I'm going to just put 0 under decimal places. And I'm going to hit OK. Now what happens is you can see we have the actual number of the APN. The other thing is on the zip code field, I want to highlight the column of the zip code, right click again, click Format Cells, and then this time I want to click on where it says Special, and then take the option that says Zip Code, and click OK. And you can see down here it has a 045. Now, if I can now sort this. So let me just go ahead and sort this right now by, let's say, type, for example. And it sorts just fine, but you can see that the numbers stay perfectly fine. The zip codes look good, the APNs look good. So nothing has been reformatted by Excel. Now, if we go ahead and do a save, and we'll save this one as -3, you can see now, if I take a look at this, that if I open this third list up in Notepad, that if we take a look at the zip code field, it's up here. We have the leading 0, and all the APNs, which are these ones right here, are perfectly fine. All right. So now if we import this third list here into the Investment Dominator, everything should be A-OK. So we're going to go ahead and import this. And I'm going to take the third list here, import that into the Investment Dominator. And you can see here we've got the APNs are all correct with the 2, 3, 4, 5 things. There are some with just zeros at the end, and you can just see that in the list here. So that's perfectly fine. And also, if we take a look at this was the record that we looked at before. If we take a look at this one right here, the zip code is correct now. It says 04574. So keep this in mind when you're getting data from the county. You want to take a look at APNs, see how they're structured when you first open the data. If they send it to you in a .csv file, which is a text file, then I would actually open that file up in a program like Notepad, which is just a text editor, just to take a look at the data and see how it's structured in the raw data before you get it in Excel. And just be aware that Excel is a financial program mainly, so it likes to reformat stuff like numbers all the time. And then also be aware of the zip code issue, because that's just a common issue across the board. There's zip codes that start with 0, and they're always going to be reformatted by Excel when you import them. So just be aware of that. And then the second thing to be aware of is how the APN numbers are structured. If they include a letter in there or dashes, a lot of times Excel will not reformat that. But if they're straight numbers and they're long numbers, then a lot of times Excel is taking off leading zeros. They like to do that. They also like to convert long numbers into that scientific notated formula. So keep this stuff in mind as you process data, or even if you're not processing your data yourself. If you have somebody that is processing the data for you, this is something to check on when they send the file back to you. You can open that file up in a Notepad. Like in this case here, if I had a data processor working on the file, I would go in here and I would open it up in Notepad, take a look at the data in as it looks in here, and see what's going on under the zip code fields, under the APNs. And if I see a different structure in the APNs than what I originally requested from the county, then I would have to send that file back to get it reformatted, because once they've been saved as text, so like as in this version 2 here, once they've been saved here, you can no longer fix them unless you have the original file again. You'd have to pull the original file and then basically get your actual values of your APNs and then resave it the proper way, which is like this example in list 3.